Good morning, everybody. It is your friend and brother, the creative leader, Antoine Jackson. And I feel led to talk. I feel led to talk this morning. So I'm going to give y'all a second. I didn't even give y'all a warning that I was going live. No warning, no nothing. No warning, no nothing. Just me live. I really do. Have some I want to talk about and share with you all. Of course, you see the description in the bio. Say hey as you come in the room, wave at me. Want to make sure that I see who's in the room in the conversation today. We're going on our quarantine or whatever like that, and my question is, because Equation Church is my home, can I not? Like I got two homes. I live here. I live here. I love it too. Hope everybody is well. I hope everybody is healthy. I really do pray that everybody is just doing everything you can to keep yourself healthy. Your precautions. All right. All right. Just make sure keep that drip on you. Keep that drip on you, man. Make sure you're good. Yo. Say what's up so I can see you all in the comments. Say I'm gonna give y'all a second to come in. But it's gonna be good, y'all. Awesome. Make sure you keep your hands clean. Make sure you're doing all the work you can do to make sure you stay healthy. This is serious. I don't believe it has to be grim, but it is serious, and just do everything you can to make sure that you're good. How you doing? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I've been really meditating on something, and this is why I want to have this conversation, because it's just been on my head, and it's just been bothering me. Hey, it's been bothering me. It's been plaguing me. And I just feel like the conversation just needs to be had, needs to be said. So, let's hop into it. Just want to make sure we're good. Good morning. Good morning. Yo. Look, this I am very sure will apply to creatives in other regions. I don't believe that this will specifically be a St. Louis conversation. There might be some things that I think are very unique to St. Louis overall, but I think that this will be a very broad conversation, but I'm going to specifically address my city because I feel like it is important to have a voice of clarity and a voice of honesty, just so that there's honesty on both sides in this conversation. Before we get started, I want you guys to know that the Creative Leader book is here. Who said creatives couldn't be bosses? I'm telling you, this book will be an absolute game changer for your life, especially in a world where creatives are at the forefront. This is our time. And I think that you need the right foundation and the right footing to specifically help you ground you in your creativity and your leadership pursuits. Because I think that there are a lot of people that are looking to see what we're going to do. And I think this is our time. Let's be the change that the world needs to see. Good morning. I'll give y'all a few more seconds just to come on, share it out for me, just so that we can make sure that our region is covered. This is specifically for you in St. Louis, but I'm sure this broad conversation will impact you wherever you go. I made a list because I'm not playing. Like, I want to make sure that I really address it and that I address it well. Reasons why I believe creatives leave St. Louis churches. Let's go. Number one, I believe that one of the reasons why creatives leave St. Louis churches is because we are in a state called Missouri. And for many of you guys that don't know Missouri, our tagline is the show me state. And because our tagline is the show me state, I think it has an impact on our mentality here, that it's almost as if people are waiting for you to show them before they will support you. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. But I think that there are many people that are misjudging fruit. And I want to talk about this from the beginning, because I believe that there are many of us that are misjudging fruit because we think fruit has to do with size, popularity, or the scale by which your ministry or your artistic ability is seen on. And because we're not judging fruit correctly, oftentimes we're platforming or celebrating the wrong voices while suppressing the right ones. All right. So I want to make sure y'all are in the comments, because I want to make sure that this is a interactive conversation. I got my comments here and I got my comments here. So I want to make sure this is an interactive conversation. But I do think that we are misjudging fruit. The Bible says the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And against such there is no law. I believe that if we're not judging what I would call a person's personal maturity, not just the fruit of their gifting, because you put a mic in my hand, put a mic in somebody else's hand, they can do what they do. But the reality of the matter is that if you're not seeing a person committed to personal growth, you might be platforming, or you might be suppressing the wrong voices because you might be watching the wrong fruit. And I found that in St. Louis, one of the reasons why creatives seem to leave is because they're not really always supported or affirmed here. It is like St. Louis has this vibe for hazing you. It's like, we will watch you. We will know everything that you're doing without supporting you. I've run into people in the mall. I've run into people in places that I'd be like, I didn't even know you even knew me like that, or you knew the reality of my life like that. And they know all kind of stuff about my life, but they haven't really truly supported. And it's almost as if we're watching people to see if they're going to fail, not watching them to see if they're going to succeed. And this is my challenge to my St. Louis brothers and sisters. We have to stop sitting back waiting for people to fail before we talk about them publicly. We will talk about them publicly when they fail, but we're silent when they're successful. Come on, talk back to me. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest today, and I'm gonna set us free. I'm gonna set my city free. I'm gonna talk about it, because we are literally will watch and wait for somebody to because it's funny. Like, you know how many people are in their church. You know how many people are on their live stream. You know how many gigs they got, but it's like you won't publicly support. You won't even share their flyer or their broadcast, but you'll hit them up. You'll hit, like, people like me get hit up in my inbox all the time by people that want to use our building, and we have no problem with it, or they want me to share their flyer or whatever like that, but they haven't supported any initiatives that I've done. And I'm not mad. I'm not bitter. It's just the reality. Okay. So it's number one is the show me before I'll support you mentality here, that I think we're misjudging the wrong fruit. Can I just be honest, because we are creatives having this conversation, that we have to realize that typically creatives have something that's off about them. Every creative, hear me, every creative I know, it's not that our elevator stops short. That's not what I'm saying. But the reality is that we all have areas in our lives that we're growing in. And this is what I say as far as making sure that we're judging the right fruit. Judging the right fruit means somebody is committed to growing through and growing up through their dysfunction. Not somebody that is staying the same. Not somebody that's just saying, look, I don't care what y'all think, I'm staying the same. It is what it is. But I'm talking about somebody that has the character of heart to say, look, I want to be better, and they're doing the work they can to be a better person. We got to support those people. So we got to make sure that we're judging the right fruit, not just size or influence or who platforms you or whatever. We have to make sure that in St. Louis that we quit putting people under unnecessary hazing. I feel like, man, I'm a St. Louis boy. Equation Church is 11 years old. I have seen more affirmation outside of my city than I have seen in my own city. That's facts. There have been things that I have done and have pioneered in our city that people go, oh, that's just Bishop AJ, but then do it in somebody else's church, and it's absolutely like celebrated and affirmed. And I know that the scripture talks about that a prophet is without honor in his own hometown. in his own home country. So I do understand that dynamic when you're creative, apostolic, or whatever, and you're leading the charge and you're leading away, that oftentimes you won't be affirmed. But I think it goes to say that oftentimes you cannot extract from a gift that you don't respect. And maybe one of the reasons why our city loses the amount of gifted people that we have is because we don't respect their giftedness, and because we don't respect their giftedness, other regions extract their gift and they leave us. Like, I mean, and this is bigger than just the church. Like, I mean, who that has been impactful in this region stays here? Like, this is the tension. I'm just being honest. Like, who that has been impactful, has really made a way, has bridging the gap, who stays here? Because it seems as if you stay here, the people here suppress you while other regions accept you and affirm you. I'm going to read some of these comments before, because I can keep going. This is finna be deep, okay? I want y'all to know that somebody knows. All right. People would rather support people they don't know versus who they know and have seen them through different stages of development. Facts. This is why I always say to my church, this is why I always say to the Equation Church, man, y'all have rocked through me through sickness and pain, skinny bishop, fat bishop, no hair bishop, hair on my face bishop. Like, my church is incredible because they have literally rocked with me through immature decisions, through mature decisions. They've seen me grow up. They've seen me be stupid. And that's why I always respect them, because they have seen me grow up and mature as a person. Also in St. Louis, we've been in major transitions. So the old facade is fading away. Major denominations are dead. Yes, sir. That's coming. That's coming. I actually have 10 reasons why I believe our creatives leave. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm not on here long, but I think this mug is going to be fire. You can't harvest from a place or a person that you don't honor. Absolutely. Where are the mentors in St. Louis? Hernandez, I'll answer this question. I think the mentors are here. I just think they're not respected because people think they need to be old to be a mentor. He's right. 99% of my speaking lectures, speeches are outside STL. Absolutely. Absolutely. The majority of my influence has been outside of St. Louis, not here. And so thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. So number one, I think, is to show me before we will support you vibe here in St. Louis that we need to really address. Number two, I think there is a lack of creative expressions, right? Or the acceptance of creative expressions. Like, I'm thankful. The reason why I started Equation Church was because as I was maturing as a person and definitely had all this exposure, like for many of you all that don't know my story, I spent 11 years in a mega ministry traveling the country while flying home on Saturday nights to make sure that I came down to my uncle church in the hood to serve my uncle. Like, facts. Like, the reality was I never let the exposure that I got out here on traveling and the gigs and all of that stuff keep me from being faithful to my local house. And I'm going to talk about that a little later. But I think that one of the things that was a struggle for me was because I had been so exposed, bringing that exposure back to St. Louis, I felt like I was met with a lot of rejection. If y'all even heard the conversation that I had with Israel on Saturday, man, I used to travel the country with this man and be in so many different worship environments and see the atmospheres that would be impacted and the miracles, the signs, the wonders, just from worship, not just preaching, just the power I saw from the worship and the sound. Okay, the sound that I heard in other places. I was like, our city needs that sound. We need that sound. We need a breaking open. St. Louis is a choir town. Now, no shade, but St. Louis is a choir town. Get these choirs together, get that shout track together, and it's a packed event. Y'all better pray for me. All right. Get that shout track together and get those choirs together. And St. Louis is in the building. But if you are a worship artist, you know, you just got a worship group and you have and your sound is not always churchy, people will kind of like look at you and kind of judge you and just kind of be like, I don't know about that. You know, give me the choir, you know, give me the organ, give me the shout, give me the run, give me the click track. And it's not really always celebrated. Or give me the hoop preacher. Give me the person that will prophesy all of my money, because y'all will pack, St. Louis will pack out for a prophet. Hear me. Let me bring somebody in and put prophet on there, and my church is packed just by the title of prophet. But let me bring somebody in that's an apostle, and y'all hear what happens in St. Louis. Because if somebody calls themselves an apostle, that's too much for St. Louis. But let them be a prophet. St. Louis is in the building. I'm gonna take a break, because I'm telling y'all, talk to me. Let me bring in somebody that's prophet so-and-so. St. Louis is in the room. And St. Louis people ain't broke. Why y'all playing games? Because we bring in these prophets, those lines be long, packed out. I have seen people leave our city with $50, $75, $100,000 from a night of preaching and teaching, and y'all give $5 and $10 to our churches, but then want full-time pay. So I think a lack of creative expression, we do struggle with that here. And I'm going to talk about that probably in the next part. What y'all thinking? I don't want to overtalk, but I do want to share. Security needed. Yes, sir. Man, I mean, when I tell you I am not, bruh, these prophets leave St. Louis raking up the coins. And then you bring an apostle or teacher or somebody that will ground us in the faith, or you bring in a worship artist that is not necessarily known. And I have seen St. Louis be disrespectful. I'm gonna talk about the good part a little bit, but I've seen St. Louis be disrespectful, overtalk these people while they're up there singing. I've literally been in environments where somebody is exhorting and people are back there eating and chewing and over talking and being disrespectful, cracking jokes, talking about their clothes. And it's like, but you want me as a pastor to stand up and receive offering to pay your disrespectful self? Now, if you'll talk about them, you'll take my money and keep doing what I want to do. It's out of this world. But I'm talking through both sides, all right? So I'm talking as a creative, and I'm talking as St. Louis people are not broke. We are not broke. I am so out of place here in St. Louis. Spent years, yes, and being a worship leader. It took you years to get free. I mean, Corinth, that's because you're at a house, like you're at a house that understands the dynamic. Like Pastor David Hawkins in Living the Word Church, like you're at a house that breeds an environment for worship and community that understands and grounds people, and also has the big picture in mind. Like that's why it's important. And you serve there. Because how many of these people that you know would go to a church that needs building first, and they have to invest themselves in first before they actually can get on staff and get paid there? But you got the narrative on that. You understand that. So number 3, number 1 is we are a show me state. Show me before we support you. Number 2, we do struggle with a lack of creative expression, or houses or churches that allow creativity to be expressed through the lens of that individual gifting, because sometimes we think that creative people aren't credible, aren't stable, or because sometimes their expression isn't always very religious. Sometimes we think there's some seductive quality to people that are creatives. This is going to be a straight combo today, all right? We think there's some seductive over-sexualization of a creative because they wear their clothes different, because they wear their hair different, because they might not just listen to quartet and choir music. Like we kind of put them, or we try to, in certain ways, man, God help me with this. We try to carve out the narrative of their reputation so that people don't receive them. This is why the gossip here, which is number 4 in mine, but the gossip and the division and the jealousy really has to deal with, because a lot of times we have carved out people's reputation and we have said things about people that are not true. Or we've said things about people that that's what they were and what they did in a stage of their life. That's not who they are today. But because that's the narrative that's out here on the streets, the conversation that's out there, these people don't always feel free to express their creativity here, because they feel when they stand up in your church, or they feel that when they come to your event, that all eyes on them because y'all done have something negative to say about them. All right, so I hope this sets y'all free. Can y'all do me a favor? Share this out, specifically if you're in St. Louis. This is why I did not make an announcement about going live about it. This is specifically because I love my city, I love my region, and I just felt like apostolically I've been charged to really speak to this thing and to break this thing open. Our region is on a trek for breakthrough. Our churches are going to see exponential growth, and y'all ain't gonna keep having to run to Chicago, run down to Memphis, run to Atlanta, run to Houston, run to Dallas, or anywhere to experience a move of God or to be free in your creativity and your expression, because other regions, hear me, because other regions are big enough and open enough to have that experience, but y'all got to go there to World Changers. So y'all got to go down to Create to get that experience, when the truth of the matter is, it is here. Pastor Monty, you said, how do you define a creative? To me, now I want y'all to know, this is in the book too. So make sure that you get the Creative Leader book, y'all, because I really describe what I believe a creative is. But in a nutshell, a creative is a solutionist. A creative does not mean, you don't have to be an artist. I'm not saying that you have to be artistic. You got to draw. You got to be funky, eclectic, all of that stuff. That might come along with it. But the truth of the matter is, a creative is a solutionist. They see something where there's nothing. These are people that know how to make paths in the desert. These are people that see organizations, churches, families, and they say, look, this is not at its full potential. What system or strategy can I implement to help it become what it was created to be? So creative to me is a solutionist. All right. Number 3, the reason why I believe this is good. Stay with me. Y'all quarantined. Y'all ain't at work anyway. So stay on here. All right. So number 3, I believe that one of the reasons why creatives leave St. Louis for other regions is because of the denominational and the traditional spirit that we wrestle with here. Now, I'm gonna walk a fine line with this, but I think it's important for you all to hear what I'm saying with this. All right. St. Louis struggles with the denominational and a traditional way of believing. Now, I have no problem with denominations. Look, the word denomination means to denominate, which by nature means to separate. This is why money is set up in denominations of 5, 10, 20s, whatever. But the truth of the matter is, I don't believe that it's evil to be a part of a denomination. It is your absolute choice to be a part of it. But the truth of the matter is if your denomination isolates out and doesn't celebrate any other gifts, or does not affirm or accept anybody that isn't a part of that denomination, then that's where the problem is. I think it's important for us to realize that St. Louis, when I'm talking about as far as a religious town, even greater than your Church of God in Christ and your PAWs and what's the International Pentecostal, the UPC being here, the National Baptist Convention holding their meetings here, their conventions here, Kojic holding their convocations here, like a lot of like Methodists hold their convocations here. A lot of major denominations come through here and hold their annual meetings. I personally believe that there is a principality that attracts that. But that ain't my conversation today. But greater than those denominations, I actually believe that because St. Louis is a very Catholic and a very Lutheran town, I think the mentality of the region being birthed from that mentality of religion, I think we've struggled with. I think it has capped our ability to be able to go to the next level because people love tradition and routine. Look, people will go to a Cardinals game, will go to any other game, will do anything, but they won't miss like communion. They'll go to communion, go to their game. That's because we're a very ritualistic town. So when I'm talking about the spirit of religion, I'm not talking about the way you express your worship. I'm just talking about the ritual and the routine that is connected to that does cap and suppress creativity. And I've seen that St. Louis does struggle with that, and specifically in African-American churches. I do feel like if you don't do things a particular way here, you're not supported. And I'll put myself on the line. I go to a lot of these churches and these events, and let's use a catchphrase. Dance for your miracle. Well, look, I was not blessed with the ability to dance, so I'm going to stand there. I don't know I ain't got to pick them up, put them down. So if I can't dance to be blessed, then I'd have missed a whole lot of blessings. Like, I can't do it. I don't have that rhythmic ability like that. And so there's a lot of suppression that I think is on people that are different because they don't do church the way people traditionally accept church, and some of the colloquialisms and the phrases that are used suppress creative gifting here. Hear me with your mind on this one, because we're expecting people to do things that they can't physically do. I can't do that. I don't dance. I don't know how to do that. So I'm finna sit there in your event and look like a whole fool because I don't dance. Sorry, I clap. I don't dance. And so because of that way of thinking, I have found that it's been very hard for creatives to really thrive in a lot of these denominational ideas because they might want to express their creativity different than the way they have been told. Right, yeah, dance your way out of deliverance. Man, I'm bound as a mug then because I can't dance. I ain't never been able to dance. I ain't never been able to dance. Man, look. Look, and I'm over here rubbing my knee brace right now. Like I'm feeling, man, I'm old. I'm older. I can't do that stuff no more. Y'all ain't gonna have me jumping and doing all this crap no more, bruh. Like I'm preserving my energy. I got stuff to do. I'm gonna use my mind instead of trying to turn tricks for y'all in church so y'all can think I'm a part of y'all program. But I have found that denominational and traditional spirits have impacted the ability for the creative to stay here. So what they do is they go to other regions where they have diversity of expressions of gifts. Facts. All right. I'm glad y'all are in the comments because I know that it's one of the things that have been very unspoken and unsaid. And that's the reason why I'm just going to go on and just share this today. Because it's really, really, really just been on my heart, on my mind, on my soul. Ain't no pick them up. I can't pick them up and put them down here, bro. I can't dance. I'll be an embarrassment to you. I would be an embarrassment. So number one is to show me before we'll support you. Number two is a lack of creative houses that affirm or accept creative gifts. Number three, denominational and traditional mentalities that I think are suppressing creative gifts. Number four, jealousy and division. Let's have a real talk about this. Look, I think that one of the reasons why this gets very tense is because you don't really always know. Nobody comes out and just be like, yo, I'm jealous, right? You don't know. Like, how do you know that somebody is jealous of you? How do you know? And what I found is sometimes I've come across people that you just don't feel connected to. Sometimes it's personality. Sometimes it's just we don't vibe or we just don't believe the same way. But I have found that there is a lot of jealousy and division that happens in St. Louis. And if you are different, people won't support you. And that's the way they show their jealousy. The way they show their jealousy is through a lack of support. They withhold their support from you. Now, I don't mean no harm from this. And I've seen a lot of posts on socials about the streaming and what's going on next and what we need to do. But I have seen that I have personally in 11 years of pastoring and 20 plus years of ministry, I have been to events. I have supported events. I have led organizations, churches, pastors, music artists use my church free of charge, no cost, or on a major discount. Facts, major discount. If you planted a church, I've been there myself, or I have sent a check. If you had a conference, I've been there. I have shown up, literally. I just came there, shown up, sat in the back, just to show, look, hey, you in my city, you're doing something, I support you. But let me tell you what I've not seen. I've not seen that same response. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all. But there have been people that will get online and complain. about, yeah, definitely, Pastor. Yeah, you can do both. I don't care. Shout, do worship team, do your choir. I don't really care. It's just don't worship one over the other. Treat them equally, both the same. But I have sent money. I have done all kind of stuff, and that hasn't been posted. Nobody has said anything about the fact, yo, thanks Bishop AJ and the Equation Church for literally coming over here and writing us our check for the month's rent. Like, facts. Like, Equation has done that. I have done that every part. Look, yes, you came when I first started in Illinois. Absolutely. Just because you were starting. I came, I sat, and matter of fact, Pastor Jenkins, you were having some sound issues, and I just went over there and helped out to try to get the sound where it needed to be. That's just the kind of person I am, right? But I'm telling you all that in St. Louis, that's really not the norm. I can count on my hands how many times people have come and just sat in the back of Equation Church on the Sunday just to support. Or now I can say there have been churches like Living the Word, The Crossing. There have been churches that I look up one day and it's like, yo, where did that money come from? Or, hey, thank you so much for like coming. Like, there are people in the region that do change that narrative. But what I'm pointing at is that's not celebrated, nor is that talked about as much as I'm hearing people talking about a lack of support, right? Or the people that I feel like that are always crying about not having support, only supporting the things that they're comfortable with, not supporting the other people that are in our community making a difference. Now that's straight facts. Like, I'm seeing people complain about a lack of support, but it's like, bro, you only go, sis, you only go. What is that? Where did that come from? Sorry. You only come, or you only go to the places you're comfortable with. You don't branch outside of that, nor go to these other places and show any genuine love or genuine support. You don't share a post, you don't share a broadcast, you don't share any event, but then all of a sudden I go on my Facebook and I'm tagged in every one of your events that you're doing. Like, untag me. Don't tag me in your events. You ain't been to nothing. It's almost like you've never been to anything, nor have you ever supported. But then you want to slip in my inbox and then you want to ask me to share your flyer and support and come to your event. Get out of here. Goodbye. Yo, what's up, y'all? So I'm basically just kind of sharing the heart of, I think, a lot of conversations that a lot of us have had privately, but have never addressed it specifically in our region of St. Louis. I really, again, the reason why I'm doing this is because I believe that we're in a significant shift. Remember, y'all, Equation can tell you about 3 years ago, the Lord started shifting my preaching, and I started specifically saying that the church was going through a form change. I said this was a dispensational shift. This was not a shift where it was going to be a style change. Hear me. I said it. It wasn't going to be a style change. It wasn't going to be like when we went from suits to skinny jeans. And it wasn't going to be an experience change where all of a sudden, because I can't add no more lights. I got an old building. I can't add no more lights, no more sound. Like, I can't do it. I'm almost at capacity. So I knew that there was going to be a fundamental form change in which the church was going to have to impact and change the world. I've been knowing it. I've been saying it. And I believe that significantly eyes are on our region to make a difference. Too many creative, amazing, blessed people come out of St. Louis and they leave here to go somewhere else because they either don't feel supported, or I'm going to get to, but I'm also talk about some of the things that need to be impacted in their lives too. But we haven't created an ecosystem here. My challenge to us as a St. Louis community is to create an ecosystem where we're not losing our creatives, where they don't have to go out of our region to go somewhere else to feel like they're affirmed and supported. Let's get behind each other, affirm each other, and support each other. All right. So number one, again, for you guys that are just coming on, is the Show Me State. There's show me before I support you, which we got to deal with. Number two, it's a lack of creative houses that allow for expression and the ability to be creative in your houses. Number three, because we struggle with denominational and traditional mentalities, oftentimes it suppresses creativity. Number four, the jealousy and the division. that is here that we're dealing with. Is in every region, but specifically here in addressing that jealousy and division is something that we need to deal with. Number 5, this one is going to be funny. All right. But number 5, it is something about how people know everything that you're doing without a like or a share. Now I run into people all the time. Ooh boy, share this out. Because this is gonna like unlock. This is about to unleash the creativity and the answers that our region is to have. But man, I've run into people that know everything that I'm doing, but they ain't never liked to share the comment or nothing or anything I've ever done. It's like, how in the world do you know so much about what I am doing with my ministry and with my life, but you've never liked nor have you ever shared? And I think the reason why this happens, Jesus, help me today. I think the reason why this happens is because there is stealing that is happening. It's based in competition, which is number 6. So I'm gonna tie 5 and 6 together, but it's based in competition. It's because the reason why I can't publicly support you is because I have to steal from you privately. If I support you publicly, then I can't say I was the first one to do that. I can't say that I was the first one to say that. I can't say that I was the first one to pioneer that, because it's rooted in number 6, competition. It is, I'm going to watch you without supporting you because I need to steal from your creativity. I need to pilfer from your creativity without paying for it or affirming it or saying, you know what, I really admire you. Can I be honest with you that the competition and jealousy only comes from secret affirmation? So you really admire those people and you admire their ministry and you admire what they do. Is there? Yep. Where does discernment come in our support? Yes, sir. It's there. But it's based in competition because I'm watching you. I want what you have, or I want to do what you do, or I want to know what you know, or I want to know who you know. But because of that, I won't support you because I need to steal from you. That thing got to stop in St. Louis. Can I tell you that if we would learn to support, hey, look, where I am weak, you might be strong. Where I don't have understanding, you may have the answer. And that thing got to stop here, because if we're going to really upgrade our churches and upgrade our region, we need a regional mentality that thinks for support of each other. Now, Mike Jenkins, this is what I'm going to say. For me, I don't believe that support means I need to be physically present everywhere. I personally don't believe that. But for me, I believe support means I don't have to speak negative of you either because I may not be there. And that's what I mean by support. It's really talking about affirmation, because I think what some of us are calling support is basically just church hopping. Some of us don't have lives. And that's the reason why I think a lot of people are doing a lot of events, because they have nothing else to do with their life. Hear me from a creative standpoint. Now, I don't care whether you decide to have church or not have church, but us that got lives, listen, it's 52 Sundays, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks ain't gonna kill me. I've been doing this all my life. And I'm at the church now. Like, work doesn't stop. I'm always here. The Sunday expression is just that. It's only a piece. It's literally just a piece of what I'm doing, not the totality of the whole of the experience. But I'm saying, man, a lot of this has been rooted in competition, and some people don't have a life. And so what they do is they want you to sit through excessive church services. I'm not coming to your event all the time. It's like, bruh, first of all, you didn't have the money to pay for it. So you want me to come, and the only time, ooh, Jesus, help me. But the only time you really specifically reach out to me is when you want my money or my people. You really don't want me there. You don't really care that my presence is there. Is you want my money and you want my people. You want either our experience or you want me to write you a check. But it's not out of, yo, this event will truly impact, truly bless, truly change, truly add value. And then people get online and complain about nobody showing up at their event. When it's like, fam, you got the same people on the flyer. And we'll talk about that a little later. But it's like, bruh, there are other people on the planet that can do exactly what you're doing. But you only want me there because you want my money. That's the only time I specifically get tagged in a post. So I'm no more valuable than my checkbook and the people from my church showing up at your event? Y'all got to stop that. Y'all got to stop that. So I think it's rooted in competition, and we won't like and we won't share. Yeah, just ask me for the money. Like, be straight up. So facts. Drop your cash app. I need to sow. Do me a favor. I honestly, y'all, this is just out of my heart. I'm not asking for anything today. If you want to support me, get you a book, The Creative Leader. Go to AntoineJackson.org or put my cash app in there if you would. $ Bishop AJ. It's not for money. Honestly, y'all, I just really wanted to be honest and to share my heart with you all. So number one, it is to show me before I will support you. Number two, it is the lack of creativity in our houses that allow us expression. Number three, because of the denominational and the traditional, what's your cash app? Y'all are so funny. $ Bishop AJ. Denominational and the traditional spirit. Number four, it is because of jealousy and the division. Number five, it is because we know what people are doing, but we won't like and we won't share because it is rooted in number six, which is competition. Competition is really secret affirmation, but because if I support you publicly, then I can't continue to steal from you privately. So the reason why we don't support you, but we will watch your Instagram stories, we will watch your website, we know everything that you are doing. But the reason why we won't support is so that we can take what you are doing and do it for ourselves, and then come out with stupid stuff like we're the first ones to do it. All of us are regurgitating something. If you have eyes, plagiarize. Like, yes, there are things that are unique to us and our thumbprint or whatever, but all of us got a concept from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? All of us got a narrative from somewhere. Even Jesus had a narrative for calling the church because it was something that he saw. It wasn't just something that came out of the sky, but at least give credit to where credit is due if you are going to steal. All right. Number six. Number seven. Now here's where I'm going to be on the side of the creative, and you guys that are pastors and leaders, y'all got to hear me out on this one. I think it is the lack of our ability in our ministries to fund creatives full-time in ministry. Now, this is where it's going to get tight, but this is where I need your support. Honestly, this is what I call the tension in St. Louis of the white church versus the black church. It's getting ready to get good. Let's go down. Because I feel like here, specifically, when you have creatives, the reason why they either leave St. Louis or they'll leave our churches and they'll go to big white churches, the reason why they do that is because we cannot fund them full time. Yes, I understand the dynamic that their gift, their expression, and some of the stuff that we require in our churches require more time than just the Sunday experience. It requires more meetings, conversation, production meetings, all of that stuff. So yes, I do understand that we will have to pay premium dollar for premium musicians and premium artists to keep the experience level where we want it. So one of the reasons why I think St. Louis churches don't really break the gap because we don't spend the money right. Many of us are so busy trying to be big preachers. We're trying to look grand. But the reality is if you don't invest that money back into your church experience and into the people that can help you take your experience to the next level, then you will always have low quality and always complain about the fact that you don't have the right people to help you take it to the next level. So creatives, I want y'all to hear me. So one of the reasons why I struggle with Equation Church is because I feel like our experience costs a lot more money than the actual butts that are in the seats. Because we have to keep a quality there that shows our people there are places and alternatives that they can go that have the same quality of ministry, great kids church, great facilities, great sound, great music, great preaching, great audio visual, great outreach, all of that stuff. We actually have it, but it's almost as if because we don't have it in scale to our white churches, it's almost as if the creatives use and treat us as the step churches and then go give all of their best to the white churches. Y'all better talk back to me. You go give all your time and your best there and then give me the crap and the scraps and then think I'm just supposed to be okay with it. So here's the dynamic of why this is the tension is there, because it's like we're trying to pay top dollar to make sure that we have great equipment, to make sure that our experience really just meets the value of the people that are coming to church. But the problem is oftentimes our churches are undersupported and underfunded, or because you go play at the big white church, you come to me late and think I'm supposed to be cool with it. That you walking in here when my service time starts at 12:30, it don't start when you get here. I don't care. If you decide to take the check that you get from my church, you keep the commitment that you made to my church. And that's the thing that I wanted, like the bridge of this conversation. Like, if you want to get paid, if you say, I agree to be there for your service times and your rehearsals, don't overgig yourself. Don't take too many jobs and then want me to pay you top dollar just so that you can be on time. Like, respect our houses. And you see how quiet it gets? Because I'm telling you, it's a both and. It's the both worlds. Like, don't expect the money, but then undervalue our experience, and don't invest yourself into our experience to make our experience better. If you sit out here tracking and looping, I want to track and I want to loop. Listen, you out here gigging, all kind of crap, doing all this stuff, then you want to come to me and just think I'm just supposed to be okay with this? This is not the way it's going down. This is not the move no more. And I think this is why the level it's changed. Like, this is all leveling out and evening out now, because as pastors, we have to understand that we're going to have to invest in our experience and the people to ensure that we get quality without expecting them to just do something for nothing. But see the devil be playing. You hear me? Straight playing. When they say the devil is in the sound system, straight play, like no reason why this went off, none whatsoever. But it's this pastors, we have to make sure. You see what I'm saying? We good, we back, but it's like we want that money without that investment. And I think it's time for us to be team oriented. We are going to have to be team oriented as creatives and as pastors to up the church experience so that we're making a difference together. Let me know if it's back on here real quick. Nothing but the devil. Nothing. This is why I have felt so burdened about this, because I feel like our region is really on tap, man, for a great breakthrough. So this is the tension of the white versus the black church, right? And why I know that why I believe some creatives do really leave, because some of y'all pastors don't treat them right. And y'all want them just to stay there for nothing. And it's like, but also creative, if you understand that they're in a building phase and you understand that the reality is that they ain't got it like that, and you know that the pastor's being honest with you like that, dude, like make some level of adjustment. Like nobody's asking you to do something for nothing, but you playing at 4 other churches. We know each other, just like musicians talk, we talk too. you playing at 4 different churches, and then you dragging in mine late, or you slipping off my stuff early to go play somewhere else. Like, come on, y'all. We got to be respectful of each other if we're going to truly change the narrative of the churches in our region and quit watching everybody go to everywhere else instead of supporting and building our own. I just got a couple more things, and then I'm gonna give y'all time back. I went too long, longer than I wanted to go anyway. And creators have to quit staying in dead urban houses, just saying they get depleted and drained. You know what? Let me say this, and no harm, no shade, no foul. But I have seen that there have been people that stay in churches that they're complaining about, that they're not in sync with the vision anymore. They're not even being paid to serve there, and they will stay in houses and churches that abuse their gifts. And then because they don't want to go to the church that they can truly help, they move away. Y'all better hear me today. There's some of the reasons why some of us running out there, wherever you go, I ain't got no hate with them. I love them. Okay, I love them. This isn't a racial conversation at this moment, but it's just the honesty of the situation. That some of the reasons why some of you all do leave the region, or some of you all do go to big white established churches, is because you got pimped under a system. You got pimped at somebody else's church, at Reverend so-and-so's church, that just expected you to be there and do nothing. And then you won't come to the Equation Church because you're afraid of what they got to say about you. They already don't care about you no way. They treating you that. So come down here and help me build. But the white generally have individuals and denominations that support them financially and allows them to pay their creative. Our culture doesn't support church plants like that. And you're so right, Pastor Michael. And one of the reasons why I have done what I've done specifically is to look at the budget and say, all right, how can we make this happen? Look, our musicians ain't getting paid the top dollar. Our creative team ain't getting paid the top dollar, but guess what? They do get consistent dollars. I will take a pay cut. I will stand up there and raise more offering. I will stand up there and affirm our church and say, look, because of what they're providing, the experience that they're providing, it's because of their sacrifice. Look, we need to love them and support them. So I think that there are a lot of ways that even if your church cannot fund them at the level that white churches can, at least do something through affirmation, through some stipend, through some gift card, through affirmation of standing on stage and telling the church how important these people are. But I feel like we have to do something. But then even in doing something, I want to make sure that the creative knows that just your giftedness is just not enough to help me build. Help me structure it. Help me build it. Be a recruiter. Y'all better hear me today. I'm trying to be honest. Don't just come play for me. Be a recruiter for me. Help make sure that I have top talent, that the experience is growing, and that the experience rivals what other people are seeing. Don't just come get the money and play, then leave. Make sure that you're investing yourself in the experience that allows the experience to continue to grow. Because when you grow the experience and you grow our church, you grow your own money too. St. Louis is on the brink of something, and seed sowers are about to see the harvest. Facts. Yes. Teaming up means we don't compete with each other as worship creators, and the word yes. Yeah. I don't believe God meant for the biggest fight in the house between one another. Absolutely. That's why it says that, honestly, where you see fights and all that stuff, it comes from amongst us. Churches also need to be honest about their budgets enough to insource talent when outsourcing becomes too expensive of an option. Absolutely, Aaron. I want to talk about that real quick. So how do I, and you can type it in the comments, but how do I, as a pastor, take money and invest it in somebody that might think that they could be a skilled drummer, so to speak. Like back in the day, you know how we used to grow up. When the drummer didn't show up, we just slid over there on the drums. When the organist didn't show up, we just slid over there on the organ. Like whenever the musician wasn't there, we just slid in there, and then we had all the extra services to actually like kind of refine our gifts. So a lot of us came, like for me, I became a musician honestly just playing by ear. The church didn't do nothing like at all. It was just me trying to make sure that my pastor never had to worry, that I invested myself into his ministry. And look at me today. Like the fact that I personally invested myself into his ministry has paid off for me dividends. And I never asked him for a check. Okay. Now understand the difference of where we are today, because people are now more specialized in their talents and their gifting and their ability. And because they're more specialized in that, now they can demand a dollar amount. And I ain't hating on it. But how much do I pay you based on where my ministry is? Do I pay you market value, and knowing that the market value, and I got to get done with this, but I'm just dropping this in there. But the market value isn't just based on the size of my church, it's based on the collective mentality and the size of the churches in the region. So do I pay you market value to play or to sing for me for basically 20 minutes at a full-time dollar amount? Where if you went to a white church, they can pay you full-time dollar amount for the 20 minutes, right? So for the 20 minutes, they can pay you the full-time dollar amount just to play for 20 minutes because they have a rotation. But then in our environments, I can't pay you market value for the 20 minutes. So is there any adjustment? And that's what I'm saying to creatives. And that's what I'm saying to pastors, that if you have somebody that will enlarge and increase your experience, don't try to pimp them with excessive services. And if Phil is on here or our musicians on here, the gift that I give to my musicians is that of flexibility. So if I can't pay you market value based on what full-time ministries are paying you based on the collective budget of all of our churches in an area, what fair market value is, then what I do is I give the gift of flexibility, right? And flexibility allows you to say, all right, yo, we got rehearsal. We got rehearsal on Sunday. You got production meeting on this. Everything else, I can care less. I don't care if you're gigging. I don't care what you're doing. I ain't asking no questions. I ain't looking at your Facebook. I'm not trying to pastor you through your Facebook. I could care less because you're going to have to be responsible in your relationship with the Lord Jesus anyway. But the reality is, if I can't do that, then I have to give you another gift, and that gift is called time. That's a sidetrack conversation, but feel free to type back your thoughts in the comment. So I'm just going to give these to you, then give these three more, and then I'm going to get out of here. All right. So number one, St. Louis. The reason why creators leave St. Louis is because it is the show me state. It is the show me before I will support you. And I don't believe that's always a problem, but I think sometimes we're measuring the wrong fruit. That's why we're not supporting the right people while platforming the wrong people. Number two, it is a lack of houses that have creative expression. And if you do find a house that has creative expression, celebrate that and invest yourself there. Number three, denominational and the traditional spirit, or the spirit of religion that I talked about, high level as far as St. Louis, the region being a very Catholic, very Lutheran town. So a lot of the denominational mentality and belief is built in ritual and routine, not in relationship. Number four, the jealousy and the division. It is, I know everything that you're doing, but I secretly support you. I really like you, but because I need to steal from you, I can't support you publicly, which leads into number six, the spirit of competition. Not that nobody's getting up in the morning going like, what is Jackson doing today? Let me see if I can steal that. What is somebody else doing today? It's not that. It's not the malicious. I think it's insecurity that a lot of us in ministry, preachers, teachers, musicians have not talked about or addressed. A lot of us don't do the hard work of personal development. So we work on our giftings, our preaching, our playing, but we don't build ourselves. And because we don't build ourselves, we find ourselves in competition with people that really we should be asking for literally information from to help us be more competent. All right. Number 7, a lack of our ability in our ministries to fund you full time. That's the white and black effect, that I was talking about, just trying to draw out the narrative as to why some creatives leave St. Louis, or they'll go to white establishments because they're able to pay them fair market value for their time, opposed to African-American churches not able to pay them full time fair market value for what they add. And number 8. So let me talk to the creatives real quick, 2 more, and then we out of here. As a creative, one of the things that I want to challenge you with is making sure that you have the flexibility to go into a new church culture and not act grand or like a celebrity. I want you to hear me again, that just because you're coming into a church as a singer, as a worshiper, as a musician, as a preacher, that just because you have exposure, you don't have to go into these smaller environments, medium to small churches, and be a prima donna and have all of these weird expectations. You have to have flexibility because you're coming into other people's space and other people's environments that they have built. Hear me. And it's because of those people that are sitting there that you're actually able to get a check. Can I be honest with you all and tell you all the secret? The secret really isn't really in the pastor. The secret honestly is in the pew, because if the pew values your gift and they value your expression and they value your timeliness, and if they see you walking in late, if they see you being disrespectful, if they see that you don't share anything about the church, but you show up every single week, they're the ones that are less inclined to give you the money. I don't control all the money. Come on now, y'all know better than that. I'm the pastor. I'm not the God of the church. I'm the pastor. I'm not the only board member of the church that controls the financial decisions of the church. These decisions have to be run through other people. And so if other people say, look, pastor, this person really is asking for a raise, but they're always late. Why is it that our volunteers call time is 11 o'clock, but the musician walks in at 12:27? Why is it that they're leading intercession, but there is no music? Why is it that the worship, tribalism? Yes, sir. Aaron, I did talk about it. But why is it that the musician doesn't have to hold to the same house standards and house culture that we've established, but they get a check and we don't? Talk back to me. Talk back to me. So the truth of the matter is the secret isn't found in the pastor, because typically the pastor is very creative and very flexible and understands that you might be coming from somewhere else, or you might have another gig somewhere else, or we may understand the dynamic and the reality of that, but the people in the pews don't. And because the people in the pews don't, the board members don't, the leadership team don't, because they may not understand that stuff. You coming in late, you being a prima donna, you not being engaged in the worship service, them having to see the pastor fussing about what isn't there in that area. There's no creativity. You're not at prayer. You don't come to anything sacrificial outside of what we've been asked for, but you want a raise. The people in the pew, the leadership team go, man, we're not giving that. We ain't giving no more money. So the truth of the matter is, I think you should make sure that you are part of a church's culture so that you can get to know the people, because the people is actually where the influence is, not just the pastor. There are people that with one check can pay your salary, but they see you walk in late. They withhold their money, and you wonder why the pastor can't give you no more money. And so when I'm talking to creatives, I'm not just talking about why I feel like churches, yes, our churches have to do a better job in the way that we engage you, but we also have to challenge you as creatives to make sure that you are engaging our church culture as well, so that you're not just coming to do what you do, coming to get a gift, coming to get your money, coming to play, and then coming to bounce. Like this, that's irresponsible, and you're actually limiting your ability for more money. All right. So if you've never heard it, you heard it here. Number 9, comfort. I think one of the things that creators are going to have to deal with is the comfort level. That because what happens is many people are so comfortable with the same people, the same circles, and the same people on the same events and the same flyers. Oftentimes we think that these are the only people that are anointed and gifted. Can I be the first one to say something? Can I challenge every single one of you all to layer your events? Hear me, layer your events. I need somebody to type that in there. Layer your events. The reason why I know that we put the same people on the same flyer is because with the same people come the same crowd and money. Nobody wants to sing. Nobody wants to preach to nobody. Nobody wants to come in there. Well, we all having to do it now, right? See, we all having to do it now, where we got to come into empty rooms and we just got to do what we do because we just got to know that's a part of our gift and our character. But the truth of the matter is, you should layer your events. And what I mean by that is this: if you're in relationship with other people, of course, use them. If they have draw and influence and it causes visibility to your event, absolutely have them on your event. But also layer credible other people that may be lesser known into your events. Use your influence as a platform. Do not be so selfish that you're only thinking about making more money, selling more records, and doing more books or whatever that is, that you're not thinking about the fact that your life is supposed to be an influence to help other people get to the next space. Layer your events. Have people that are different, that might be eclectic, that might, if you got a choir event, add a worship event in there. Add some people that are worshipers. Like maybe y'all a shout church. Add somebody that can, what I'm saying? Like whatever. But layer your event so that it gives an opportunity for cross-pollination of creatives, so that we don't have to feel so siloed and tribal. Right? So that we don't have to feel tribal, like Aaron said, that is based on who's in my clique and who I know. Like, no, layer events. Like, have other people in there that speak specifically to answers and that change the narrative. Don't just put people in there, hear me, don't just put people in there that are just totally popular, because the problem is you have people that are popular based on the mentality of the population. Hear me. The reason why they're a celebrity is because they're celebrated by the population. It does not mean that they're people of character. It does not even mean that their gift is really all of that strong. It's just the fact that they're exposed to the masses, and the masses are affirming them, but they may not be the quality that you need for your events going forward. All right, so here's the last thing, and then I got to get off of here. So number one is to show me state. So it's kind of like show me what you do before I will support you. Number two, we lack the creative houses and the expression that allow for creativity to go forward. Number three, because we struggle with denominational and traditional spirit here, the spirit of religion. Number four, jealousy and division. For you guys that are just coming on, just running down the 10 things that I've seen why creatives seem to leave our region and go to other places. Hey, bro, you got another opportunity to do it again. Number five, there are people that know what you're doing, but they don't like or share what you're doing, because number six, they're in competition because they really admire you, but they can't publicly support you, because if they publicly support you, they then would let other people would know that they actually got their ideas from you. So maybe just support those people opposed to not sharing those people or affirming those people. And share this video out, because there are people in St. Louis that need to hear this. Pastors need to hear this, because some of y'all don't invite people to preach at your church because you're secretly jealous of them, or because they don't preach the way they want you to preach. You don't invite them to your event, or because they ain't got profit in their name. Hey, oh, Lord have mercy. Or how about the people, okay, this is about to be a sidebar, but I'm finna be straight honest. How about the people locally that want you to come for no pay, but every flyer you see, they got big headliners on the flyer, and you know that you got to pay them. But you won't, but because I'm Bishop Antoine Jackson, and because I'm down the street from you, you don't have to honor my honorarium. But every flyer I see, you got somebody big name on there, knowing that you had to pay them and you had to put a deposit down, knowing that even some of the people that you bring in, they're my friends. But you won't ask me. Hallelujah. Look, I had to rock. I had to rock 1 second. But you want to give me $250 to come preach at your event so that you can put my name on my flyer, because you know that when I bring my church, Literally, my church is basically going to pay for my honorarium. So honestly, the reason why you ask for me to come locally is because I have enough quality and I got enough people that's going to come behind me that's going to pay for my honorarium and keep your budget where it needs to be so that you can impress somebody that don't even live here, nor ain't going to like you, nor share your freaking flyer when your event is over anyway. Stop it. It's foolish. Participate in the narrative of helping upgrade your own region instead of trying to be grand somewhere else. Man, let me tell y'all this. The influence that I have around the world only comes second place to the work that I'm doing here in my region. Facts. I'm at my church today. I love my city. I give to churches in my city. I show up at events at my city. But some of us are so insecure. The truth of the matter is it really comes down to personal insecurity. We're so insecure that we're waiting for somebody that has notoriety to affirm us. And so we'll do events, spend money. We'll spend more money than we have when you should be paying your staff and your budget that to be trying to do big events and big conferences and put your church in debt or have to raise all these extra offers. Like, I'm not coming to your conference to have to, number one, give an expense offering, to then give a speaker offering, then to get myself out of debt offering, and then you bring a prophet in that calls my address and my name to get another $40 out of me. Stop it. It's stupid. I done got mad now. Oh, Jesus, help me. Oh, Jesus, help me. So comfort. Number 9 is comfort. That a lot of us are stuck in comfort and we need to layer our events. All right, number 10, and this is it. It's St. Louis is a slow region. Now, I've talked to other people outside of other regions and they say the same thing. They say the same thing. Look, our region is slow. And, I get the privilege of traveling an awful lot. And so I ask these questions when I go into some of these churches in these regions, like, what is the mentality here? And hear me. I have found that the reason why this seems to be the narrative is because I think as a people, we're struggling with a principality and a mentality that we have accepted. And because we have accepted this principality and this mentality, wherever we go, we seem to struggle with the same idea. Now, I happen to live in a very cool part of town in St. Louis, so I know that St. Louis isn't slow. I know there's a lot of development that's happening in St. Louis. A lot of tech firms are happening and coming up in St. Louis. A lot of businesses are starting in St. Louis. So St. Louis is very vibrant. A lot of the places that people come in to travel and to hang out are free. In other cities, they're not free. So like the zoo, all that stuff like that, they're free here. They're not free everywhere else. So St. Louis is actually a very progressive town. But in our mentality as a people, it's slow. And what I mean by that is this. If somebody from the dominant culture does it, we say it's progressive. But if somebody from our culture does it, we say it's traditional. Now, here is the challenge to what I said earlier about the traditional and the religious mentality. That I think that one of the things that we're really dealing with in St. Louis specifically is because of the racism and the white privilege that is so prevalent here that oftentimes you don't see the quality of ministry and gift that you actually have in your face for who you're watching online. St. Louis is not slow. St. Louis is a very progressive town. But because of the division here, the city-county line, I'm not being political, but because of the city-county line, that when you go to other regions and you go into their cities, their city population, just by nature of population, is larger than St. Louis. So with more people comes greater exposure and opportunity for increase and commerce and things of that nature. And so because of that, yeah, look, moving and shaking in the loop. I know people in St. Louis making big money. You need to get in your car and take a drive and see that there are people in the city making big money. But because of our region And our regional mentality that I think has been wrapped into the spirit of religion, oftentimes we're not seeing that God has put gifts of ministries right in our hands that we should invest in and that we should grow. Here is my challenge. My challenge is to every creative. Yes, if you've been exposed and God didn't allow you to move somewhere else and you have to stay here in St. Louis, can you quit sitting in them dead, dry churches that ain't using you and judging you because you got hips in the shape and all that crap, and you sitting there and letting them judge you, but you won't you won't come down to an Equation Church because you're scared they're going to talk about you? Get delivered. Get set free. That's the deliverance you need to walk in. Quit driving up to Chicago. I love what Dr. Stevenson is doing at All Nations. Quit driving down to Atlanta. Quit going to Dallas because you're seeing what all they're doing, but you don't invest that dollars into the ministries in your region that can help you do that too. God bless them. But people are like, we need this and that here. No, we don't. We need to support what we have here. We have great quality ministries, but a lot of you all are so afraid to walk in your freedom that you will stay in dead, dry religious churches, let it snuff out your creativity, and then use a job to transfer you. When the truth of the matter is, maybe God invested you. Now, this ain't for people. You got a choice. You can go wherever you want to go. Fine. That's good. Like, enjoy yourself. You know, I'll always support that. But I think some of us are leaving. We'll leave the region because we don't want to stand the test of time and to stand through the difficulty of what it looks like to be judged because you went to a church down the street that actually could use your gift, that you actually can invest yourself in. So I appreciate this conversation as much as I hate to hear about the negativity of our city and church. I know that it is necessary for growth. Absolutely. And trust me, I wasn't trying to be negative at all. I just wanted to make sure that it was out here, that the conversation was had so that we can start the critical conversations of planning and to diversify our experience. Because, Pastor, here is the truth. The truth is, Pastor Michael Robinson, you have wonderful ministry, and all you need is for creatives to come behind you and support you. All you need is for somebody to invest their time in you. And if they can just take that time to invest themselves in your ministry and let you get some stabilization, you can change the world with your ministry. But if you always got to worry about all the other stuff and not the ability to actually do credible ministry, then you won't be able to change the world the way God designed for it. Because, and I got just two more things. This is the afterglow. I already talked about the 10 things, but some of y'all got so hurt in these religious churches that y'all bashing all of us when it's like, bruh, that reverend oh, Jesus. Hallelujah. Look, it's almost as if it's like all of us are being lumped in this boat. Like, no, they don't value creatives. They're traditional and religious. That's not all of us. And there are some people that I actually don't agree with, but they're in the faith and I love them. Like, I don't agree with their philosophies. I don't agree with their all the expectations they have, whether it be in your presence, whether it be in your financial sacrifices and giving. But the truth of the matter is, that's not all of us. And so quit sitting in those churches until, oh, Jesus, help me. Quit sitting there until you get bitter. Because the truth of the matter is, God had already dealt with you about leaving a long time ago. Quit. Okay, Jesus, help me. Have the personal security and investment enough to know that you don't need drama or trauma to leave somewhere. Quit waiting until it gets bad for that to be confirmation. Quit waiting for it to be bad before it's confirmation. You already know in your heart it was time for transition. One plants, one waters, God gives the increase. What's not true? Sometimes you just wake up. Nonetheless, I love my preacher's friend. It depends, though. I don't know, because sometimes I think what you woke up to might not be the perspective that everybody else shares. So sometimes I think that I don't agree, but I love you, but we don't agree on that. But I love you. But the reality is that I'm finding that there are many people that are sitting there waiting until they get bitter, and it's like you don't have to be bitter. You don't have to be bitter. Just know it was time for transition, and your gifts and your skill sets are needed somewhere else. All right, y'all. So those, yes, you don't need drama or you don't need trauma to lead. Look, one plants, one waters, and this is the kind of heart that I've always had. And knock on wood. Knock on wood, this is the heart that I will always keep, that when somebody comes to me and they feel like it's time to go, I've always blessed them out. I've never, ever got up on that microphone. I've never been negative and been like, you can't talk to them no more. They the devil. They Jezebel. Like, that's idiotic. That's immature leadership that does that. Immature leadership knows, or immature people or immature pastors don't know how to bless people when it's time to transition. Whether I agree or not, you have the dignity of a will and you get the right to make decisions for your own self. Even if I feel like you shouldn't go, I'll never be the one that influences that decision one way or the other, because you have that personal dignity. And if God does not encroach on that dignity, I won't either. So I've always blessed people out in transition because I feel like that's the best way to do it. I'll say this and then y'all, I promise you, I really do have to go. I can't worry about what others think. Yes, we disagree, but absolutely. Love you, girl. Absolutely. Look, the Creative Leader book. Who said creatives couldn't be bosses? You got to make sure you get it, because I really try to tie those tensions of those worlds together. This is why I'm passionate about this, because I've been sitting on this and thinking about this and just really meditating on it. But I'm like, God, how can we impact our region with this mentality so that people can really hear the truth of what it looks like to go forward, like as a region? Like, the gates of hell will not prevail against the church. And regardless of how people feel about the church is going to always stand. It has survived the test of time. It has survived over 2,000 years now. And trust me, it has survived persecution. It has survived famine. It has survived all kinds of stuff. It will survive Corona. So we just have to understand that it's going to survive. But the form is going to change. And if you don't look and prepare toward the future, you might be left in the dust. Your church might close, but the church ain't closing. All right, y'all, it's your friend and brother, Bishop AJ. God bless you all. Become a part of the creative community, creative leader community, by going to AntoineJackson.org, signing up there. St. Louis, I love you with everything that is within me. I love our region. I love our creatives. I love our pastors. I love our churches. Now let's change the narrative. Let's quit losing our people to all of these other cities, and let's raise the game. Let's become a pillar city. When it comes to the faith, that when people look at St. Louis, they go, man, those people really know how to serve and worship God. And they're some of the most creative people on the planet. All right, y'all. Much love. God bless. Let's change the world.